Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, yes, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Episode 184. And it's going down. Lights, camera, action. But again, gonna give you a little spin on all that information. We're gonna even be able to check out some of the game and get some talk about that. It kicks off at 6:30, but we're gonna get in and do our thing. Welcome to episode 184 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show is covering the sporting HBCU from all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetic, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is back in the building. He was on assignment. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCUA's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University, Houston, Texas. Charles, I see you got some new gear on now.
Yeah, Doc. I've been playing VIP today. Been playing golf in W.C. Gordon, Ashley Robinson golf tournament today in Jackson, out at Lake Caroline. I had a tremendous time out there with my other fellow 80 Club members. So you know we got the 80 Club shirts, a little Under Armour action there. So it was a tremendous time. I had a blast out there.
Well, we'll let AD Ashley know that his old time buddy over here, we'll make sure he gets on the show and represent his 80 Club. He just needs to share some of the love.
Right.
You know, I don't get it. I know that I wear like ties and suits, but you know, I can make it work.
Oh yeah, man, Doctor, we had a blast out there. I tell you what, A.D. Robinson, he's been working on his golf game. He got a nice little short game. We dropped a few putts today.
What? So what'd you shoot, CB?
I think our final, you know, we're playing best ball format. I think we shot a minus 14 today.
What?
We dropped a few putts, yeah. We still didn't win, but you know.
I'm sure there were a few mulligans thrown.
Yeah, a few mulligans will sit out there. Sitting out there.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. I appreciate it, Doc. Glad to be back in the house. Glad to see you both. As always, I feel like I'm at home with here, ready to talk some football.
Oh no, let's get it on. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Well, let's see if we can make it happen today. Jump into it. Let me go back to you, Charles. What type of news do you have on the day? What do you have out there?
Well, I mean, let's get right into it. We got action at 6:30 at the half hour tonight. We got UAPB and Alcorn. We have the SWAC West champions from the spring taking on Alcorn, who is now over in the SWAC West. They get their first SWAC West opponent. A little bragging rights on the action, you know, and it's a data point. It's an early data point tonight. So,
Mike, it's an early data point. Since that game starts 6:30, let's get into it. And in terms of your data point, you know, what are your thoughts, Mike, on this matchup?
Yeah, so
couple of things. Number one, you got to look at, I always go to the numbers. You got to forgive me. You got UAPB, they're averaging 386 yards per game total offense. Where is Alcorn State? I'm sorry, they're down at number 8. They're averaging just over 320. But the statistic that sticks out for me the most is that, unfortunately, UAPB is allowing the most passing yardage. So, there are a couple of stats. You got a couple of UAPB rushers that are leading, that are leading the SWAC in offense. So they're averaging 205 yards per game in rushing, whereas Alcorn State is just over 100. Both teams are averaging close to 200 yards per passing. But it seems to me that, Alcorn State seems to be a little bit weak on the run, whereas UAPB is only allowing 73 yards of rushing per game. 73 yards for the other team's total rushing offense. So that's telling me that UAPB is prepared to stop the run. So it should be interesting because Alcorn State seems to be a running team. So it should be an interesting matchup. It is an early and what I call big, crucial data point.
I like that. We get the big, early, crucial data point. He qualified that in many ways, did he, Charles?
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on this so far? What are your thoughts on this?
I think one of the things that jumps out at me for Alcorn is Felix Harper. You talk about Felix Harper thus far in the season. That showed me something last week against South Alabama. They lost 28-21, but Felix Harper, he's completing better than 60% of his passes. I think that's huge. That's why he's thrown for 623 yards on the season. I think, Alcorn, they have that championship medal. They have that chip on their shoulder, from not playing in the spring and having everybody kind of talk about the accolades of what everybody else did in the spring. And then, the other huge chip that I think Alcorn is going to carry with them all season is not having those SWAC home games. I think they go into UAPB with all of that riding, and it'll be very interesting to see the fight in Alcorn tonight. Championship medal, chip on the shoulder. Let's see what happens. Let the chips fall where they may. But UAPB is telling everybody they're not falling back to the back of the pack. That's what I'm looking forward to. This is going to be a good one tonight.
I do have some concerns.
Before Mike jumps back in there, I want to say I'm interested to see just how much offensive firepower they still have. They've been able to get some stuff done. They've had some turnovers that helped them in terms of that, but I'm not sure that they're rolling in all cylinders of offense. Go ahead, Mike, you were going to add to that?
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to, one of the things that's kind of a head scratcher is Nico Duffy. He's in that breakout that you'd expect him. He's averaging 46, 47 yards per game. Is this going to be a breakout game for him? So their offense just has not been that offense that we thought they would be. And I expected more for Nico Duffy. He's the only rusher they have that's in the top 10 for SWAC rushers. So that's kind of another sub data point. So
great points all made there, but let's cut to the chase. Let's get into it. This is a SWAC matchup, but I want to know, what mask do I put on, Mike?
Oh!
Is it going to be Alcorn? It's going to be Pine Bluff.
Oh,
tell me, Mike. What do you see? What mask am I wearing? Mask up, guys. Let's get out there and support these teams. Let's take care of ourselves, Miss Mask. What you got? What do I need to put up, Mike?
Wait a minute.
TikTok.
Where's this game at? I forgot.
It's Simmons Bank Field, Pine Bluff.
Looking at kind of where they are, I got to give the edge to Pine Bluff. I'm going with Pine Bluff. I'm going with the line.
Kevin Stokes will love this.
Pine Bluff. Y'all see it? Charles, do I keep this mask on, or are you going with fellow Mississippians and the Alcorn State Braves?
I'm looking for this team to rally around Fred McNair. He was there for them when all this turmoil was going on last week. I look for this team to really rally around Coach Fred McNair. I'm looking for the Braves to get this win tonight. In fact, I'm gonna call it 27-14 21 Alcorn over UAPB. They're going to get the win tonight.
Calling shots.
Y'all see it
Calling
here first.
shots.
Calling shots and the score. Make it go home. Make it do what it do. Oh, man. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of these other matchups. And then we'll come back and do the band right before the break in the second quarter. But let's get into it. We have HBCU Mid-Major Classic Game of the Week. Set at the SIAC. It is in Indiana, though. Hoover Field in Indianapolis, Indiana, to be specific. That's a Circle City Classic. Used to be a huge classic. Not to say these teams are not huge, but it's in a different framework now. Top 10 matchup, though. So I'm really excited about that. Number 10, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds, 1 and 2, and this is a little tease. Might have been an upset in terms of the band matchup with Kentucky State and Tennessee State last week. We'll tease that out and see after the break where we get there. Kentucky State is 1 and 2 on the season. They face number 5 Benedict Tigers, 2 and 1 on the season, 1 and 0 in the conference race. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this top 10 matchup in the mid-major division, if you would, with teams out of the SIAC? Shake up or are things staying the same? What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
You know, this Benedict team, I really like this Benedict team. Kentucky State, you know, the last time they were at the Circle City Classic, I remember what happened. I know they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. I know they ran the ball up and down Jackson State's throat. Something tells me they just like playing in Indiana. So guess what? I like the Thoroughbreds. I like the Thoroughbreds of the Circle City Classic.
Mike, what do you say about Kentucky State and Benedict? Top 10 matchup, number 10 versus number 5. How do you see it?
You know what? I'm going to go with number 1 scoring offense, number 2 scoring defense in that conference.
Ooh.
Benedict.
There you go. We'll keep it tight, keep it simple. As we do that, let's get back into some more of that mid-major component of it. We're going to stick with that mid-major, and this time we're going to look at the mid-major in terms of independent game, which features a SIAC Tuskegee team versus a SWAC Alabama A&M team. So you got the number 1 team at the major division level, Alabama A&M Bulldogs, 2-0 on the season, 1-0 in the conference race. They take on Tuskegee, a proud program, over 700 wins, but has struggled of late. They did get a big win last weekend to kind of get off the snide. Is that going to make a difference this week in the Gold Coast Classic, Lad People Stadiums in Mobile, Alabama? We just told you on Tuesday that BCSN will stream that game and has the contracts right of what's going on in terms of the Gold Coast Classic. So that's a positive. Got to get that plug in there. But as we do that, I do want to say, let me stick with you, Charles. What you got? Independent mid-major division game of the week, Alabama A&M versus Tuskegee.
Quill Glass, the outlaw receivers, Hilaire, Moore, Ibrahim, Jenkins, and now you add SWAC player of the week, Gary Qualls, 27 rushes for 101 yards last week. I sure hope the Tuskegee defensive backs have stretched their hamstrings out. I hope they got their cardio in because they're going to be running up and down the field all evening. Alabama A&M big in this one.
Ooh. Mike, what you say?
Oh, I concur.
Michael Ford say 49-21.
Yeah, I agree. The law firm of Ibrahim, Jenkins, Moore, and Gary Quarles, who's the leading. You can't beat that law firm right now. I agree. Tuskegee's, their defense is somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't know if they're ready for this high-powered offense. I'm picking the Bulldogs to win big.
Great point. Great point. I like that. You got G Boom say, don't let the Coach Prime out there be supporting them out there. But hey, man, that's what we get done. With that being said, let's switch it up just a little bit. As we get ready for this break, and we will come back. And you have your first quarter. You get into it, and the intro, as they say in the band world. We're gonna do a little intro with the band. Marching sport top 10. We'll look at the top 5 teams. We'll give you some intro in terms of what that looks like when we come back before the start of the game. But let me give a shout out to a couple people. G Boom Holly says tonight game will be a good one. Look at how the West will be won. Oh, he says that the West will come down to these two teams. So he's calling it early.
What? Oh, okay.
Man, I think he got a
K.
little.
Johnson says time
He
for
got
the
a hold of that. He got a hold of that tailgate juice a little too early.
Michael Ford, good evening, late for the lecture. Joseph Anthony says, Bulldogs in the lag, still undefeated. Respect all, fear none. One game at a time. A&M. SWAC champion. Hashtag here. Man, he got all the sayings out there, didn't it?
I hear you, Bulldogs. I hear you.
Jamie Walker says, good people. How are you? We good. We good. Alcorn finally has an athletic trainer. Yeah, that's a good point. I need to get out there. Joseph Anthony, good one. Somebody told me earlier, though, 16 points and one athletic trainer. He said they might need a little more work, though. Like, man, you can't get nothing right. Joseph Anthony Goodwin, Franklin Nelson, William E. Davis in the house. K. Johnson, I'm ready to view Alcorn versus UAP. That's right. Stick with us. We'll have it right here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to make sure that you get all of that. James Knox, Lonnie Shaw in the house. Are they still beating up on the Eagles over there? Will they even let them talk a little bit?
I don't even think they speak to the Eagles over there. Boy, them A&T Aggies. I believe they snobby now.
Joseph Anthony Goodwin, yeah. Jamie Walker says UAPB feels totally disrespected. They have a chance to shut up the naysayers. Yeah, they do.
That's true.
Michael Ford says
yes, they do.
35-28. Lonnie Shaw, is that the game televised tonight? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's the Thursday night matchup. Pine Bluff wins this one. That's Stephen A. Miller getting out here, putting it in there. I predict Alcorn will win. Stephen A. Miller, yes, it is on ESPNU. Good evening, everyone. The CIAA is checking in the lab once again. I like that. Fred Whitted, Winston-Salem State HBCU Heritage, ECSE HBCU football history. Belinda Johnson says, I hope you're right. I heard that. Ron Alvarez. Michael Ford says, used to be. Who else we got in here? Shout out to all those. Chad Cooper, I know he's in the house. Don't want to leave him out there. Karen Griffin, she got her mask. Appreciate it. The support. Let them know, as they say. Who else we got before we get in here? We'll cover up some more as we get back. Jerome Chief Sutton, make sure I give him. He make sure I get all my HBCU band information, especially on FAMU. Let's see. William E. Davis, Reginald Johnson, K. Johnson in the house. That's right. Shout out other lab folks in the house. With that, this is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll take our first quarter break. We'll be right back. We'll break down marching sport. Before we do that, we'll give you a couple of more classic games of the week that we think in our thoughts before we get into that marching sport. That's a good tease. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Man, we got the professors in the building analyzing this game. They broke it down for you as you hype up and get ready for another great game on Thursday night. Man, they got my blood boiling. I don't know what they call it. I'm excited, man. I need some more of this. HBCU Classic Major Division Game of the Week. HBCU Independent Non-Conference Major Division Game of the Week. We got some good ones here. But before I do that, I give you that Major Classic Game of the Week. We're going to look at Prairie v. Grambling. We're also going to look at the Independent Game of the Week. Now, it used to be a conference game, but now it's MEAC versus Big South. So we'll look at that North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, the Aggies. We're going to give all these Aggies some love out there and let you know what we think about this matchup. We'll get into it a little bit there. Before we do that, I want to get into this marching sport. Let's look at this top 10 teams. We're not going to cover all the top 10, but we'll give you some. There's some shakeouts, some teams dropping out of here in terms of Alcorn State, North Carolina A&T, some teams making some movements just to kind of give you some indication of what took place here. But jumping back into the poll this week, North Carolina Central, the Salmons marching band, they jump in here as they take out Winston-Salem State. Some people said that was closer than it should be, but they got it done. So they 1-1 on the season, head-to-head matchup. Another one that wasn't ranked this week is Norfolk State. They got off the snide. Really good band, really did a lot in terms of the national battle of the bands, but the competition was so hyped, they actually did not find themselves in the top four. Top four got wins head-to-head. Bottom four got losses. They came with a loss, but they got a little bit of the back. Matchup against Elizabeth City State. I did say that Elizabeth City State did represent a little bit in that fifth quarter, but in terms of the halftime overall, not much of contest. Norfolk State got it done. When you talk about what they bring there, the Spartan Legion marching band, get it done in terms of that. But let's get into the top five where it really gets a little interesting. We got a new member. Not only do they jump in the poll, they jump all the way up. It was a major shakeup. Our first set, if you would, because it's a mid-major, if we're using the football vernacular, if you would, and our other sporting vernacular, mid-major versus major division. Kentucky State went on the road in the house, Tennessee State, small size band, but sound. Performance overall, they get it done. First major upset of the year in terms of the marching sport, and they vault all the way into the top five. Top five. They are 2-0 on the season. They took care of business against Central State earlier in the classic game. So they were hiding in the tumbleweeds and get it done. Not much shakeup in the top four above that. No games played here. They stay the course. Number 4, Bethune-Cookman, the marching sport. In terms of the marching Wildcats, they stay at 1-0. 2 first place votes, able to stay and hold the place. Jackson State at number 3. 2-1, 1 first place vote. They stay there. Some people have said they should have failed. Some people have said that what they did earlier, they should be higher. But they made a mistake. They were a short distance away. Yeah, it wasn't an HBCU matchup. But your team could have used that sound, that support, and you took the week off?
Yeah, Doc.
I might let you finish that. Maybe you have different thoughts. I understand. Jackson State, that's just Sonic Boom of the South. And they got a big reputation. See, when you got a big reputation, you got to come through. You can't take days off.
Yeah, Doc.
It doesn't work with that. And you certainly can't take a week off. You can't take a game off unless there is an open date. That's a different thing. You can't control it.
Yeah.
This was not an open date. You chose that. Southern, the human jukebox, they didn't take a day off. 2-0, your rival down there. 2 first place votes, they stay there. FAMU, remains at number 1, 2-0. Big time competition. 3 first place votes. We'll see what they're doing. I will shout out Prairie because they have a big matchup against Grambling this weekend. They fall apart because they were at home. Team didn't show up from the other side, so you couldn't have a battle, and it wasn't an HBCU battle regardless. But they go to State Fair Classic, so it gets interesting. Enough of me. Let me go to Mike. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of the top 10 HBCU marching sport for week number 3? Did I get it right?
Yeah, for the most part, I got to give it to you, Doc. Yeah, this one hit it. Kentucky State, I didn't have a chance to see them much, but smaller bands, as my good friend Shanetta Haskell, who's on 1876 Sports and Culture, every Tuesday coming at you. She's our band analyst, only the 3rd or 4th female drum major in Prairie View A&M history. Very good analyst. She has me looking at bands from a different perspective. So if you look at Kentucky State, small band, the way they mix their horns, their sound, they have a very good sound. So Sonetta has me looking at bands totally different than the way I used to look at them. My concern is FAMU will drown you out with volume. I still would have ranked Jackson State higher, but having listened to CB before the show, I understand it. The only thing I say, y'all don't criticize LeBron or the Spurs when they took a game off. Y'all didn't criticize them. If they win the championship,
but they ain't in the marching
and they
sport.
still the best.
Absolutely right. But they ain't not in the marching sport. In the HBCU marching sport, you must play.
You are correct. You are correct. When you are in the marching sport, this is marching sport. You got to be in it to win it. All I heard when I got down to Monroe, Louisiana, y'all didn't bring the band? Where's the band?
Yeah.
Where's the band? You said it. Reputation precedes you, so you gotta show up and show out. So yeah, and I'm not saying that the boom would have made the difference in the score, but it would have made a difference in the game.
Yeah,
to
make
have
that
extra.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. Right.
That's a whole different conversation. Yeah, that they would have made a difference in having that sort of energy, and that's what our HBCU bands do. They provide that energy to our team. So that could be the difference between a drive that bogs down or a drive that keeps pushing. So it is what it is. But yeah, you can't take a week off. Can't take a week off. Nah.
I was reaching.
That's like
I was trying.
Being at home oftentimes is worth 3 points or a touchdown. A band could be somewhere in between that as well. You never know. A couple of first downs, and that could be a difference.
I was reaching. I agree. They went all the way to Miami, went all the way to Houston, Texas, but they couldn't go 200 miles. I get it. But
wasn't even 200, 116. 116 miles.
Pound for pound, they're still the best band, but I understand their ranking in this poll. And why?
Thank you. Well, let's get into it. Grambling State Tigers 1-2. They played number 4 Prairie A&M University, 2-1, 1-0. As you know, Grambling got the opening win against Tennessee State. They lost 2 straight FBS programs. In terms of what that looks like, yeah, Prairie A&M 2-1. They split with the Southland to get a win this past weekend against Houston Baptist, opening it up against Texas Southern. Prairie View. Quarterback Pad, Juwan Pass is getting it done. 2 out of 3 weeks. He's been a newcomer of the week. In terms of Grambling, Ernest Walker, running back, 6'3", 210 pounds, had 17 carries, 77 yards versus Tennessee State in that first weekend. Charles, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, let's see what kind of Grambling team do we see this weekend. Are we going to continue to see the carousel at the quarterback position with Alden Clark and Elijah Walker? And now you have a lot of Grambling fans asking about Noah Biden now. I mean, he was supposed to be the #1 quarterback coming out of the state of New York, and fans are going to be what fans are. They're clamoring for some shakeup in this Grambling offense because it's just hasn't clicked the way that we normally see a Grambling offense click. And you're going up against a 600-pound gorilla, Coach Dooley. I don't believe he's lost since he's come from Grambling staff to Prairie View. So this State Fair Classic is going to be huge for Grambling to try to, for their fan base. So I'm looking for a spirited effort from the Grambling Tigers, but I think it's too much to overcome Juwan Pass. He is the story over there at Prairie View in terms of getting it done. That's multiple games now. He's thrown for over 300 yards.
Very true. Mike, what you got?
Oh man, I think Grambling's up against a very good team in PVAMU, and I don't say that lightly. PV's averaging 140 yards per game, so, and then Grambling not so good, 50 yards per game on average. But will it be the carousel of quarterbacks that CB has? Which quarterback from Grambling is actually in the top 10 of quarterbacks? Oh wait, let's think about it. There is no Grambling passer that's in the top 10 in terms of passing offense. And in terms of defense, Grambling is like number 8. They're allowing at least 200 yards of rushing and alone against their against their defense. So,
but in fairness, FBS opponents.
Yes, true. But so you wonder, what can they do? Where can they muster up some offense? That's my big question. And are they going to be able to have any sort of consistency at the quarterback position, or will it just be this plethora or quarterback by committee?
Great point. Dallas, Texas Cotton Bowl State Classic SWAC. It'll be interesting. This is one to keep your eyes on. Will you get the upset, or will Prairie View continue to do what they need to do? I sure would like to be able to get my slowburnwaco.com cigar out the box based on the outcome of this game. Well, we'll see if they'll let me get my smoke on and celebrate another classic trophy campaign. It is slowburnwaco.com, slowburnwaco.com, Slowburn Waco. Get it, check them out. Before we get into this break, I do want to break down one more. Greensboro, Truist Stadium, MEAC Big South, Saturday the 25th, that's 5 o'clock, ESPN Plus. Number 3, North Carolina Central Eagles, 2-1, had the major upset over Alcorn State. They got another win against Winston-Salem State. People were a little disappointed maybe in terms of the overall part of that game. A&T has dominated this contest. They're 0-2, had a tough loss to Furman, and then played well, at least for a half, against Duke. Was the FBS. Give me a little more than the FBS, Power 5 school in Duke. But because of the wins, Norfolk State comes at number 3. Some people think they may be a little bit bloated, overrated. Who gets this done? Mike, sticking with you.
A&T. That's all I'm going to say. I think
he don't even want to tease us with that. He just A&T.
A&T gets the win on this one.
No problem. Charles, what do you say about this matchup?
I think the last time A&T and Central got together, I think A&T whooped them 54-0. But I don't think Trey Oliver is going to take one of those butt kickings like that anymore. I think it'll be, a good, spirited, intense rivalry game. But I think A&T comes out on top. But it's not going to be one of those 54-0, whitewashing.
A&T.
White Moore says about the budget, about bands. I understand. We know. We know about the budget. They on select game. Dwight, quit being nice to these folks. This is
we talking budget. We're talking budget.
White Moore says though, Alcorn 14, UAB 10. He thinks it's going to be a defensive struggle. I don't know about that, but I got to come back to you. You're not going to escape before we get out of this break. This is another SWAC matchup, so we got to mask up.
That'll be easy.
Who you got? Grambling, Prairie View. I think you kind of told me, but let's get it official. Mike, Grambling, Prairie View.
I'm rolling. I got them Panthers, baby.
Charles, who you got in this matchup? I need to know.
Yeah, I think I got to go PV on this. A little too much Juwan pass, so I'm going with the Panthers on this one.
Got it. Well, you told me about the other matchup. We'll take a break, bring it back so we can get into it. Game's about to start. We'll get into some little mix. See what we'll do about that and talk through that matchup. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Stick with us right after this break. Let me know what you think about my band poll ranking. These gentlemen told you about some games of the week. Check out what we said on Tuesday about the games of the week. Go to YouTube, check it out. Subscribe, like. Let me know your thoughts right now, the games that we broke down before we get into it. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburn.com.
www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So you see we got a little insight so we can get in here and keep it moving. Got an injury on the field, so take care of that a little bit. And it's 13:38, first and goal as they're making the move. So we'll give you a little more in terms of what that's looking like when we get in there. Should be an interesting matchup. With that, I did want to go back into some of the talk in terms of the news regarding the CIAA commission. McWilliams among featured speakers for the USA Basketball Women in the Game Conference, September 24th in Las Vegas from the CIAA. Anytime you get a trip to Las Vegas, that's not a bad thing. You got to be intrigued about how that goes down. But a USA Basketball Women Game Conference is set to take place on Friday, September the 24th. Mandalay Bay Resorts and Casino in Las Vegas with CIAA Commissioner McWilliams, I should say, being among the featured speakers events, talking about WNBA, USA women's basketball leadership and, supporting high school girls, female college, young professionals interested in pursuing careers in sports industry. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of something of this magnitude in the representation of a CIAA commissioner, McWilliams, getting it done?
Like you said, Jackie McWilliams getting it done in terms of representation of the CIAA in an event like this. So it's great to see that she's getting that recognition in terms of taking a look at her participating in a form of this such. So kudos to Jackie McWilliams.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I echo those same thoughts. First of all, kudos to CIAA for getting exposure at such an event. I want to go to Vegas on a trip like that as well. I mean, how can I sign up? I'm raising my hand. So, but in all seriousness, I think she's put in the work. So congratulations to the CIAA and to her on, because it's a reward. In addition to being honored, it's a reward and it's recognition for the CIAA. So,
as you see, Pine Bluff is in scoring position, but the Braves are fighting back a little bit with the defense. This will be interesting to see what can go down early, Golden Lions, in terms of making the difference. You get a touchdown here, can make an early statement and put the Braves kind of on the backside, or do they get a win by forcing a field goal? What are your thoughts here?
Well, it looks like there's a touchdown there.
Looks like a touchdown right now.
UAPB.
I told you.
Okay.
Run
right.
play.
All right.
Wide open. How you get so much wide open? Tell me about that play, Charles. What did you see there?
Well, it looked as though they slipped a little motion there, and it looked as though they caught Alcorn slacking on the backside over there. Great job that time by UAPB, but I tell you what, I was just about to make a comment. Cedric Thornton, defensive coordinator for Alcorn, always has the Braves up there in the top echelon of defenses in the SWAC. And for a lot of people, he's on that short list when you talk about next up in terms of head coaches in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. But kudos to UAPB, open drive, come right down and get it done against the Braves.
Yes, Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of that play and or the drive?
Well, it looks like I don't know what kind of defense that Alcorn State is, but they probably have a robber or a spy on Skylar Perry, who's number 8 rusher in the SWAC. So pass option read. Looks like you've got someone caught slipping in the back, had left a gap in open, slipped somebody under, and that looked like an easy score. That looked too easy, to be honest.
Cameo Stokes, the fighting Cameo Stokes, come out fighting.
Yeah. I like the way Mike said, caught somebody slipping. That's pretty good. That's pretty good there in there. Well, I also wanted to get in here and shake it up a little bit. And this first time to talk about HBCU Tailgate Tour 2021 starts with the Aggie-Eagle. We talked about that matchup a little bit. HBCU Tailgate Tour, experiential tailgate celebration of HBCU culture launched in 2018. Will be back in person this fall at a 7 of the biggest HBCU football games, or at least according to them. Last fall, the HBCU Tailgate Tour, like many 2020 events, switched to a virtual format titled the HBCU Virtual Tailgate Series. And just to tease this out here a little bit, don't want to steal too much of thunder, but be careful. BCSN with the HBCU game time. Don't be surprised if we put some flavor in tailgate and get you some framework of it. We might sneak in more about the HBCU homecoming component of it. But with that said, they're partnered with Geico, Xfinity, Microsoft, so great support out there in terms of this event. What are your thoughts, Charles, in terms of the HBCU Tailgate Tour of these games? Didn't see who they were listening or where they're going next, but I'm interested in that as well. But other than that, what are your thoughts?
Anytime you can put a spotlight on the culture that is tailgating around HBCUs, that's huge because we do it big and people need to see it. Some people need to see some of the delicacies that go from tailgate to tailgate and the cooking. I mean, it's phenomenal. I always make the point that one of the best times I ever had, I had a Southern grad. I was walking past their tailgate and they, were ribbing me with having on my Jackson State gear. And she sat down and fed me. She was like, I just wanted to see your face with this Jag feeding you some good food. And I always appreciated that. So I always was thankful for her playfulness with our good banter and our rivalry with Southern and Jackson State.
Before I go to you, Mike, I saw that good run play, 7 yards, 7, 8 yards, first down. Pass play second, get the first down to the wide out. In terms of the tour, before we get back into the game a little bit there, what are your thoughts on the HBCU Tailgate Tour, Mike?
Man, I love it. There's a certain flair with an HBCU tailgate. Oh, man.
Oh,
Pick six.
We'll get back into that.
Baby.
Pick six. Oh my God. Pick six.
Stop
All
being
right.
sinners in the mic.
Man, I start. Whoa, big.
Yeah, he's like big play. He even called Mike off guard. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. So there's a certain flair with an HBCU tailgate. I can think of at least 3 or 4 experiences I've had at an HBCU tailgate that you don't get at, I'll use the term PWI. I went to Fort Valley, Albany State a couple of years back, and the way they make catfish, every school, every state has a certain way of doing catfish. And my father-in-law said, let me show you how to do some catfish. And they have a certain way of doing it in Middle Georgia, but it's different. And I see CB shaking his head than the way they do it in Mississippi or Alabama when I went to the Magic City class. Everybody claimed that they can do catfish at a tailgate, and everybody claims it's the best. There's something about a tailgate, the flavor. Y'all, you may have saw the video I posted, the yard chef. He was from Mississippi. he had a certain way of stacking his barbecue. And then anytime he say, look at here, man, look at what I got. Anytime you start off like that at a tailgate, that's somebody who knows what they're doing. As Al said, they understood the assignment. And it's interesting that you have a show, a production that's going to bring out those stories of how to set out an appropriate tailgate, what foods to cook, who really has the best catfish, barbecue, Brunswick stew, low country boil, gumbo. Who has the best version of that? How do you do it? How do you set it up? It's great that we
it's Mike.
We're not to talk catfish and not talk Mississippi. No. We will not do that today.
We ain't going there. I don't know.
We ain't going there talking about catfish.
Before we get into this next break, Charles, set up what just happened in terms of what you saw on that play there.
Yeah, it looked like a nice pick six. I mean, UAP, they come out the gates pretty strong against Alcorn. Alcorn's going to have to fight back from a 14-0 deficit.
Yeah, and it was a defensive lineman that got it done. He juggled it a little bit. It looked like he got too excited about the jelly roll and almost fumbled the ball away, but he was able to even catch it. So he had some good hands. You see versatility, got in the end zone. Man, you could tell them big guys, they were excited about the big guys getting that touchdown. They don't get those opportunities. So
early statement, Golden Lions. Okay. All right.
14-0. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Can they fight back? We'll see. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back after our last break. Give you our last 15 minutes, and we'll cover a little bit more of the game and make sure you can get to see the rest of the game as we see what goes on. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we continue to get it on, man, this is a crucial drive. I think that you can't. Oh, they already stopped them on 4th down. I was just gonna say they can't have a 3 and out.
Stop.
It looks like they might have a 3 and out. This is not going the way if you're a Braves fan of what you thought. They have to force a punt. This is the urgent case. Let me go to Charles and get your just general thoughts coming back. I was going to ask you how important this drive was, but you can't answer that. Now you got to go somewhere else. Where you go now, Charles?
Yeah, it's an important drive, but we saw this last week with Alabama A&M. They jumped out on Bethune-Cookman, and the ebb and flow of a game. You just kind of have to sit back and watch and see what's going to happen. So I was very impressed with Bethune-Cookman because I really thought it was going to be a boat race last week with Alabama A&M, but they fought their way and stayed in there. So we'll see what kind of fight Alcorn has in them tonight. But right now, the UAPB, the wheels are rolling fast down here.
Well, same question to you, Charles. How important is the defensive series then for Alcorn against Pine Bluff? Skylar Perry is just finding a ways to get it done. How important is this drive? And this is a short field now.
Yeah, short field. This is huge drive for Alcorn's defense, and you got to figure out a way to get to Skylar Perry. We know he's a heck of an athlete. He can get it done with his arm and his leg. So you've got to figure out a way to disrupt this UAPB offense. They were out making an early statement, and they're going at tempo, and things can get chaotic, when the teams are going at tempo and you're trying to get substitutions in, and you might have to have a defensive timeout just to slow things down and reset that momentum.
I was just going to ask, Mike, did you call an early timeout on the defensive side, or what did you say, just relax? Or how important is the defensive series for the Braves right now?
It's crucial. You go down by 3 touchdowns, and now you got to hold the dig out. Now, that's not insurmountable, and the Braves certainly can do it, but they don't have the offense of days old. So if they go down by 3 touchdowns, that's a big mountain, a big glass of water for their offense to overcome. Second, I will even say that it looks like somebody did their homework in scouting on the defensive side for UAPB. That pass that they picked off, they cut off that was a outward pass, swing pass out, and they had that telegraph. So somebody did their scouting homework as well.
Well, let's take it off the radars a little bit. There's another conference game coming up this week. Let's get a chance to talk a little bit about that as we see what is going to go in this game. Is you have a Bethune-Cookman played really well last Thursday night against Alabama A&M, and like you said, Alabama A&M kind of jumped out there. Bethune-Cookman reeled them in, seemed to settle down. But now they go on the road. They go to Montgomery. Bethune-Cookman 0-3, Alabama State 1-1. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State? Anything to keep your eyes on in that matchup?
Bethune had a running back that I was not aware of. I think it was number 5.
Quishon Bird.
Yes. He came out of nowhere, at least from my perspective. And I think Alabama State's going to have to watch out for that running attack. I don't know about Alabama State's defense, but I actually have Bethune coming out. They were impressive last weekend. So I look for them to continue that offensive onslaught. They had a good mix of pass and rush. But, yeah, that rushing attack surprised me.
Well, I don't know if you can call this a slight victory. They did hold them to a field goal.
Yeah,
that was big.
That was big.
That's big. That's a moral data point.
So, exactly. Let me ask you, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of that Bethune-Cookman and Alabama State matchup?
Yeah, this is a very interesting matchup. Like I said last week, I was very impressed by Bethune. I thought Alabama A&M jumped out when it was going to be a boat race, but they fought their way back in the game. And Mike, you touched on it, Quishon Bird, 132 yards rushing last week against Alabama A&M. A very interesting matchup when you take a look at can Bethune-Cookman, can they stop Ezra Gray? I understand Alabama State, they lost one of their linebackers this past week. So stopping this Bethune-Cookman running game is going to be imperative for them. But you got a pretty good quarterback in Shannon Patrick, and we'll see where Ryan Nettles is with regards to his progression as a quarterback. You know, he had a big breakout in the spring. So great matchup, but I'm going to take Alabama State at home. I like their defense when you're talking about Corey Clark, Rashad Davis, preseason all SWAC selection. So I think Alabama State will get the win.
So you have Alabama State. Let me go back to you, Mike. You going Alabama State or you going Bethune-Cookman? Which way you going? Which mask do I put on for you?
I'm going with actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Bethune on this one. It's tight game, interesting game, but I like what I saw in this Bethune team. They're scrappy. They fought their way out of a big hole last weekend. I like what I saw in that Bethune game, and I'm going to go Bethune on this one.
So that is 2ttickets.com, 2 as in the number ttickets.com, and you can get your own mask. We'll continue to do this, tell people to protect themselves, really encourage a lot of folks to go ahead and get the vaccination shot. Certainly make sure that you're masking up regardless of whether you got the shot or not. Let's protect others, protect the community, protect those that we care about. Let's make sure that we go out and have some fun watching these HBCU games like this and get it done in a lot of ways. I did want to kind of tease out any thoughts from you, Charles, in terms of Delta State at Jackson State. Any particular concerns with that matchup?
Yeah, Jackson State has to be concerned with Delta State. Delta State traditionally is a pretty good Division II caliber team. They are ranked 25th in the nation. So, and they got a really good quarterback, a young man by the name of Patrick Shigog. He is a dual threat passer and runner. He comes from one of the best programs in the state of Mississippi, South Panola. They call it University of South Panola. They had a stretch in the state of Mississippi where they won state championship after state championship. He's a heck of a quarterback. They have a three-headed monster in terms of running backs. When you take a look at Rico Owens, Corey Gainwell, and Deion Dampier. So it will be a good game, but I think Jackson State does have the talent to stretch out on Delta State this weekend. So looking forward to a big game for the Jackson State offense to get on track. Dr. Cavil, Jackson State's defense, they're ranked number 12 in the nation. They're number 3 in the nation in sacks. They get after the quarterback.
Big kickoff return. They'll have the ball deep in Pine Bluff's territory at 40. And I was just going to say, Doc Gamble on the sideline looked like he was mad that they had to settle for a field goal. And you go over there to McNair, and he seems calm, like, hey, it's early. Stay in this game.
Oh, okay. I was looking at a replay.
Yeah, no, not yet. In terms of you, Mike, before we close it out, any thoughts in terms of Texas Southern and Rice? Is that even worth discussing? Can Texas Southern find a way to make it a matchup? Can they at least show improvement in the game? Think they can get some things right?
You would hope so, but I don't see it. Texas Southern is they're averaging 150 yards a game. However, they are allowing 324 yards per game. So they're almost allowing double the output against them, of their opponents against them. So I don't see much coming from Texas Southern. I hope you can get some consistency in offense. Their third down conversion, I think, is somewhere in the middle of the pack for the SWAC. So I think Rice pulls this one out. I just don't see much coming from Texas Southern this weekend.
We're going to give you this last series one way or the other, and then we'll call it an evening. First play out the gate after the big return inside the 25. They go to the end zone. It was incomplete. Great defensive play. As you see, they stack up the run there. So This is a big one. This is a third down conversion. Boy, if you could find a way to get a touchdown out of this, you're really right back in the game. You at least want a field goal. But in some ways, I think that would be a win for Pine Bluff. If they
need some points on this drive. Got to get some points.
Definitely need some points on the board from this one for sure.
Yeah, big third down. And it's third down and 12 in terms of what this looks like. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in this play. Like I said, we'll stick around for this one, and then we'll call it a show. And we'll give you the updates, as you know, on Sunday. Come back with us Sunday morning at 9. We'll break down all of this information here, let you know and see what the thoughts are in terms of that. Big play. They get in the end zone. They get more than the 3 points. They convert on third down for a touchdown. Boy, you talking about a big time throw, big time play. Riding all over him. He comes up with the catch.
Who's that, LaCharles Pringle?
Yeah.
LaCharles Pringle.
He makes those plays. They back in the matchup. So we'll tune it on and we'll get back to it. Look for it Sunday at 9 o'clock. That's Dr. Bill inside HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you go to my JBN, my BCSN, catch all the shows in terms of how you give it, because they'll break down all this and then some in all areas of HBCU sports. With that, thank you for listening to Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab, College of HBCU Sports, with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed our unique way of breaking down the game and giving you some insight and allowing you to be able to stick with it and stay with us. Again, we want you to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday. That's Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 7, and on Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Stick with us as we wake you up and get you all the latest HBCU news. As you know, we look forward to you as we continue to give you the latest news. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside HBCU Sports Lab 1. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube is Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Dismiss.